Dandelion Song here, and I was watching another channel on YouTube, and they were talking about the Nostradamus quatrain 297, and I'm just like, did they save that for this day? Could they have, someone should have brought that up earlier, or I should have found it. Why didn't I think of that? I'm looking for all these numbers in different places, and I forgot all about Nostradamus. So anyway, the Roman Pontiff guards against their approach to the two cities, to the city that two rivers flow through. Go and look at that. There, the mouth in Washington D.C. The Snake Anacostia River, which they named the Potomac, it splits into two. But here it says, their blood will come near to being spilled, thee and thine, when the rose shall bloom. The version given by BP Earthwatch, and I'm not sure where he found it. Let's see if he has a link here. Okay, so I'm not sure where he found it, but it says, Roman Pontiff, be careful when you come near the city by the two rivers, where thou shall spit thy blood, thou and thine, when the rose shall bloom. It's a little bit different. I like to go back to the original documents, but I really am thankful that he brought it up, because definitely would want to know this. Whoops, that's a different page. So the rose line is the 0360 line. Let's go to Google Earth. Okay, so I really think, from my analysis of the numbers, I think that the numbers show that the Pontiff is going to be injured on the 23rd, and it does kind of say that. Let's go back here. It says, their blood will come near to being spilled. The Roman Pontiff guards against their approach to the city that two rivers flow through. And I don't even know, I haven't even researched, like, what is this guy's record? I just think it's interesting, so that's why we're just going to look at it. But it says that the blood will come near to being spilled. And I guess I like that because it matches what I found in the birth numbers, the anagram that I found analyzing his birth numbers that show 927 and 923. Also, let's just not forget, we have, look at the number here. I am going to do the gematria of Nostradamus quatrain, but we have a 927, and we have a 929, and this 29 here is, for me, is the 11. And I've seen this exact number. I'm going to have to look at my notes. I've seen this exact number in some of the gematria of these articles, because it's the 11, it's the 711, it's the 927, it's the 929, and it's the 911. It's all in one. Now, I've said a few times, repeat that 927 is the birthday of the Jesuit order. So according to the numbers that I found with my back-engineered algorithm that I use to pull expiration dates out of the Freemason birthdays, to me there's two dates, and not everybody has two dates, but there's two dates here, and it just makes a lot of sense poetically and symbolically if he would be injured on the 23rd, and then he would end up dying, especially if he was injured right on this cross right here, because there's a cross. I don't know, to me, because they put all this stuff in plain sight, they're not really trying to hide things too much. If I was, if this was, all on stage and I was the director and I needed to make it as, Masonic as possible, that's what I would do. And I would have the attack come from the 44 direction. And maybe, in the form of a clock. I mean, why hold back? If you're just going all out on the symbolism, why hold back? So this is the rose line. It's zero, both at 0 and 360 going north. And that is the all and the nothing. It's where the snake bites its own tail. It's like the abyss of, symbolic amazingness for them. And then going the other way, it's 180. 180 has a lot of interesting symbolism too. It's basically when they tell you something in the news, you look 180 in the opposite direction. If they tell you a policeman shot a child, you 180 both of those. The person was not a policeman, and they did not shoot a child. So that's the black and the white, and the 180, the up is down, and that kind of idea. And if you look in the 180, that's a really good place to start to find out what's really going on. So we're going to gematria the words river, but here we have this river, and it's the Potomac, and they renamed it from the Anacostia, which means the snake. And here, let's just, I don't know what the flow is, you know, maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know if they would consider this two rivers. Over here, let's see what it's called over here. Over here it looks like it's the Anacostia. It's that one said Anacostia. You'd think with everything else that's Anacostia too. You think with Kingman, like, you think with everything else that they have here that they would have lake and water names, because you have to take, oh, and there's a drive. Okay, so I'm going to say that's Anacostia, and this is the Potomac. I don't know if that counts as two rivers or not. I'm tempted, since we're looking at a false flag assassination, I'm tempted to go over again all of these headings having to do with Arlington. But at least I do want to mention, let me pull up my Horus picture here. All right, well, here he is in all his glory. But I do want to mention that in terms of a greater pictorial, oh, I was just noticing these rays, like this ray and that ray. One of these goes, sorry to change subjects, but I'm noticing, I bet you, I'm gonna have to draw from the Georgia Guidestones to this spot to see if it has what's the word? A symmetrical angle from one of these angles. You know, my only way of measuring angles, and if somebody figures out a better way, I have to hold the protractor up to the screen. It's so caveman. There has to be something better than this. Okay, well, what I wanted to say about Arlington, besides that we see the 27 here and the 244, and I've talked about all these numbers with you guys, and the Rockefeller 110, is that it looks like a thought box. It looks like a cartoon thought box for this guy, which would be the Lord of the Underworld, Osiris or Horus Senior. There's also signs that this is Horus Junior. I don't want you to think that I'm missing that. I just would prefer to think that this is Horus Senior. All right, so I put Nostradamus into the JCN counter gematria, where it compares 21 different calculations of various kinds of gematria, and it has a high match with non-physical, and it's good to just scan these numbers because we have seen them. We've seen them, and they play into all these gematrias. Look at this one, 297. And 269. This is the heading right there, 711. So it's just good to scan across here. This is a 108 gateway. Here in the Jewish gematria, there's an 868, which is kind of the opposite of the Lord, but it's a 68 and an 86 mirror. 86 has to do with, kill and stopping, and 8 feet long, 6 feet deep, that kind of idea. It also does play into the Bride of Christ, because we saw these symbolisms really mixed. And we have, oh, that's a 15. Yeah, I haven't figured out what this means. I'm still working on that. So lo and behold, this is not on my list. George Bergali. I think I have this on my list, but it has a middle name in it. So I didn't catch this. Lo and behold, that it matches Georgia. Let's see what else. Ark of the Covenant, Sitting Bull. I hope Sitting Bull's not pretend. You guys get tired of things being pretend? Okay, there were some interesting numbers in the cities that the two rivers flow through, but there weren't any associations because it's such a large statement, and I was kind of looking for something else to pop out here. But here, in just the two rivers, is a 14.9, which adds to a 23, so that would be a 923 through the addition. And then there's a 17 here, which is kind of like the 174. And two rivers does equal some things, including skull and bones. Now, just because his numbers equal skull and bones doesn't mean anything bad about him. We basically don't know. We have a lot to learn about all of these things. We just draw the associations. There's the full range of associations in here, and we have to figure out which associations. You can kind of, using the context of the story, you can figure out which associations are valid. Okay, so I pulled up this picture from hiddenrecords.com, Wayne Herschel's site, and he has a lot of great work. I wish all of his videos were, all of his whole blog was on video, so I could just sit and absorb it all. But this comes from this line of thee and thine when the rose shall bloom. And so we look at the rose as basically a map. It's a star map, and I've talked to you a lot about star maps, and Wayne Herschel knows a lot about star maps. So this would be Orion, and this is the Chi Rho that we talk about, having to do with the Vatican, and they have this Chi Rho even in their very current symbolism right there in the New York Times today. The Orion points to the Star of Ra, which is a stargate. Well, so this is a rose, and the rose is going to bloom. You see what they're saying here? It's a stargate opening. So this over here, this shows this is an ancient, not ancient, but this is a Rosicrucian document. And this is from the Chartres Cathedral. They want you to walk these things. I don't think it's a good idea to walk these things. I don't think it adds to your illumination. I think that it is a ritual designed to further mollify your mind. Well, I've told you before about the Trinity of Suns, and this would be the lower sun, and this is the upper right sun is amid the Pleiades. These are the 7 stars here, and then there's another sun over here. And this rose basically points to the Star of Ra. Now, the Star of Ra is worshipped in among our Illuminati, quietly here. Except for it's right out in open. The target sign is the Star of Ra. The NBC sign is the ship of Ra in the form of a peacock. Peacock is another sign having to do with the ancient gods. But it's also how the ship of Ra looked when it landed on the Sphinx. Let's go to Wayne Herschel's site. Okay, so here we are. He has some really great videos. He's doing some work right now. You should follow him on Facebook. It's very interesting. He actually sells these artifacts. They're really expensive though, but I mean, he does try to fund his research this way. But he has 2 videos that I think are fundamental for our discussion, which is UFO lands on Sphinx Part 1 and Part 2, and he shows you where the ship of Ra lands on the Sphinx, and they record that on the papyrus. Very important to understand how our Illuminati worship Ra. So the opening of this stargate would be the blooming of the rose, according to this symbolism. If you go back, let me see if I can find some other picture I want to show you. Well, as usual, this wasn't the picture I was looking for. I was looking for a picture, and I will find it hopefully, but I was looking for a picture where it shows the ancients holding up a trident and pointing it at the Star of Ra, and then the Star of Ra opens, and it opens into a Vesica Pisces shape. Now we know that at the foot of this we have a Vesica Pisces, but this is one of his, he has a few other calendar dates where he shows the alignments of the stars in the sky with the Washington Monument, and here there's an alignment. Sorry, it's a little blurry. There's an alignment between, and he took this from a Freemason document having to do with their pillars, and I think he took it from a Freemason document. It looks like he merged it. He overlaid it, showing their pillars and showing that this is basically when Christians have a Christmas tree, or even when pagans have a Christmas tree, This is the idea of the star at the top of the Christmas tree. It's the Star of Ra. It's not the Star of Bethlehem, because that was actually Venus. Venus is a whole different idea. I think they might be different species. Now, it looks like this says 22 degrees. I had remembered this being 33 degrees, so maybe it's just different at different times of the year. I'm not sure. And it looks like the viewer needs to stand right here on this corner and have something that measures from this top star of Orion as it rises in the east, and then you'll be able to locate the Star of Ra, and then the Pleiades is up from there. Okay, another Wayne Herschel picture of his compilations having to do with the Chi Rho and Orion, the Pleiades and the Rose, Star of Ra, and then this is a caveman painting in Italy that shows he's holding a sword, and I'm not sure what that is. This is an ancient astronaut. So when you see people that you know put down the ancient astronaut theory, they're really discounting a lot of evidence from a lot of different sources. And you know, since I haven't gone to Italy, we don't know the source of this. We don't know for sure. But I think there is a lot of evidence for ancient astronaut theory. And then here is another idea of the Rosicrucian cross, and this would be Orion pointing to the Star of Ra. And here, this Star of Ra, it has to do also with Stonehenge, and Stonehenge does also have I guess you could say Freemason geomancy tie into the ellipse circle, which the Pope's going to circumambulate tomorrow. These are the exoplanets right here, and it does show those. When you do a full analysis of Stonehenge, you can find these planets. These are the planets in question when you see those moon symbols. It could be one of these, or it could be a planet that's within the Pleiades, but this it shows in quite a few places that the Star of Ra has exoplanets on it as well. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, I'm trying to find the one where it points to where we have the ancient Anunnaki with the trident pointing at the Star of Ra, and it turns into a Vesica Pisces, and it seems like it's everywhere until I look for it. But this shows them dressed in fish hats, which I think is very papal. This is the Tree of Life, and this is what I keep telling you is not the moon. Now, I just had a brand new thought, because I just read in my last Back to the Books video where we talk about an unplanned for eclipse of the sun. I just read about the eclipse of our sun. Now, I hadn't thought about this before. A lot of people are saying, you know, and from what I've read of Zecharia Sitchin, it looks like we're not, that Nibiru, or what planet, the 12th planet, or Mardi Gras, or whatever it's called, is not going to be around in the next 100 years. But I just want to throw in there, they could have given us the wrong years. Gasp, right? What if they gave us the wrong information? And they would do that to make, you know, people look crazy. So we just have to do the best we can with the distorted information. And now there are pictures of that people have put on the internet of planets that are so near the sun, or at least strange objects that are so near the sun that it's hard to see them. And I just want to put out there that if a planet was coming towards us, and it was coming closer and closer and closer, it would eventually cause an unscheduled solar eclipse. And I've always thought of this as an exoplanet, and I think that in context, when it's not associated with a landing, like here it's associated with a landing, and these guys are all ready for the landing, but in other contexts I think it's an exoplanet. Here I am going to throw out, this could be the unexpected eclipse in which this planet is shown. And it's shown as a spaceship. And I guess that according to the ancient tablets, it does look like it has wings on the side, and that's why they have all these things on their cars where they have a winged disc, because I guess there's a lot of trash and dust and stuff in there. I just want to point out that nun equals fish, enunciate, nuncio, and last night, or maybe it's it's tonight, the Pope's going to stay at the what's the name of it? Something enunciate. It has to do with fish. That's what nun means. They're going to probably wear fish outfits. So I think this is this person's hand, but often they're holding a trident, so I want to show you some other tridents here. One of the places the Pope is staying at the end is a trident-shaped building. Here are some more tridents, and people just do not know what this means. They do suspect Neptune, but the story is much bigger than that. It has to do with the Star of Ra. It has to do with the opening of the Star of Ra. This is inside the One World Trade Center, and you can see that there's 2 3s here. Well, that's a little bit like the number 23. And some of these tridents that these ancient gods are holding have a trident going up and a trident going down. Here is the author of this is saying that this is more a trident type of symbol, but this is really Orion. This is Orion, except for they put the middle belt sideways. So it's the Chi-Rho. See the Chi-Rho with the 2 legs here? It is the Chi-Rho, and it has Orion. In this case, Orion is going along the belt. In the Chi-Rho, the Orion is pointing along the spine. A quick look at Roman Pontiff. If you guys want to do some homework, if you just, you feel like contributing and you're not sure how, you could just gematria these things and then leave the link or your conclusion in the comments, and that way we could all share from that, because it takes a long time to look this stuff up. Well, so we have Roman numbers, we have an 11, and we have a 9 and 11, and we also have a 9/27, which is the birthday of the Jesuit, and it also has to do with this quatrain, the 9/27. And it's also, of course, a 74 and a 47 has the agent number. Shows you that this is an agent. This is a 111, and that equals, as we saw, New York City. The Jewish gematria here equals Phoenix. That's very important. I wish I had, one of those memories where I just could, snap in and keep these. They don't slide around everywhere in my head. Freedom Tower. Roman Pontiff equals Freedom Tower. Are you surprised? Okay, I think I had a pause in there. I'm sorry. I might not be able to edit that out. I sometimes forget that the pauses are in there by the time I get to the editing process, and I don't have enough time to go through every single thing. So sorry if there's pauses, and sorry if I make editing mistakes. I'm trying to get better at this. So I'm gonna close this out. I think this is very interesting, and I think you should share this with your friends. I think most mainstream people would be interested in this. Actually, it's up to your discretion. If your friends are going to freak out by all the stuff I said, then maybe not. We don't want them to come to my channel and yell at me, right? We don't want that. So, but if you want to help, or if you want to do anything, just grab one of these in gematria, and then talk about it in the comments. All right, love you guys. Talk to you soon. Postscript. So, don't want to scare you, but it looks like here it's saying their blood will come near to being spilled, thee and thine, implying your blood, you and your blood, when the rose shall bloom, which is the opening of the Stargate. And this could refer to CERN. This could refer to the actual rose, of Rosicrucian, which is the Star of Ra. So I don't want to scare you, but I just was looking at that thinking, yeah, I should probably mention that. Still not even sure if we're talking about the right city, but we have seen that the river flows on both sides of this city. And this whole city is about Vesson, which means Vesson is the etymology of Washington. Doesn't have to do with scrub, has to do with soak or steep. So that's the whole idea of this place. And they do have 7 hills in Washington. They might not be real hills, but they are symbolic, at least, and that is symbolic of the 7 stars of the Pleiades. Okay, all right, I think that's enough for this. If I find more, I'll come back and I'll do a part 2. All right, talk to you guys later. PSS, I think I missed another thing that's pretty important to tell you about the Nostradamus quatrain. Because if you look down here, the answer is that, okay, this all happened in 1796. But let's go over here. I think I might have told you this, and if I did, I'm sorry. But I think I didn't tell you this, that the rose shall bloom gematria, oh no, the Nostradamus gematria, which I don't have up anymore. Okay, but I'll just tell you what it was. It's 145, 870, and 686, and I showed you that it matches George Bergoglio. It matches him in the simple and the English. Also, it matches numerology, Ark of the Covenant, and Order of Thelema. But look at George, so it matches him in this, but look at George Bergoglio's, gosh, now I think I might have got this. Okay, but look at his Jewish gematria. Not only is it, I might have told you that this is the birthday of the Jesuit order, but this is also the number of the quatrain. Where'd it go? Wrong quatrain, sorry. This one. So, if I told you that twice, sorry. Maybe I'll catch it on the edit, but it's doubtful. But anyway, if I didn't tell you, I had to come back and tell you, because it just, what are the odds, right?